goodness, it's been so long. I'm so glad to be back on YouTube. This is my first video of the year. If you're a regular and you're wondering why there wasn't very many videos in December, it's because I was sick pretty much the entire month. So, however, November and December were really interesting months in the reselling world for me. Even though November and December were kind of slow months for me, that didn't stop me or my online marketplaces from not only having a lot of first-time experiences, but also continuing to make double the profit that I expected to be making by the end of 2025. If you don't know, my goal by the end of 2025 was to make around $1,000 a month. And I doubled that goal in the last 3 months of the year. I made $2,000 a month. If you're new to my channel, I've been reselling on eBay for over a year. And in the last quarter of 2025, I branched out to Poshmark and Depop and now Whatnot. I like to make videos like this once a month to let other resellers know, especially beginner resellers, what to look for when you're outsourcing and what to skip when you're outsourcing. Because again, I've only been doing this for a year and I'm not perfect. It definitely pick up some duds here and there. So if this kind of video is what you're looking for, please consider subscribing because it certainly won't stop here. I'll get into some details in a bit, but in the last 2 months of 2025, I sold 3 vintage Elmo toys, 11 pairs of jeans, 1 doggy wheelchair, a over $100 Silpata bracelet that my mom found at the thrift store for $1, lots of shirts and sweaters, a few pairs of shoes, 1 heavily used pair of slippers, a few hundred rings, and I also had 2 people buy more than 1 thing from my eBay store for the first time ever. And I also canceled a customer's order also for the first time ever. Story time on that later. And I refused a return and eBay sided with me also for the first time ever. And because sales were slow in November, for the whole entire month of December, I actually put most of my store, like anything that was 6 months old or older, on 50% off coupon on eBay. And I sold quite a few items doing that. It's not the first time I've tried to use a coupon to get rid of things, but it is the first time that it actually worked. Anyways, I know you guys probably want to know what the numbers were for my last 2 months of 2025. In November on the marketplaces, and for future reference, when I say marketplace, I mean eBay, Depop, and Poshmark. In November, I only made $561.55. It was the slowest month ever. And then in December, I upgraded a little bit. I made $733.71. However, on Whatnot in November, I made $1,561.50. And in December, I made $1,207.59. And I likely would have made more in December than I did in November if I wasn't on vacation and sick for most of the month of December. So if you total that all together, I made just over $2,000 in November and just under $2,000 in December, doubling my goal again. I also made a really interesting discovery about my business as a clothing reseller. And that's that I don't really need to or have time to source at thrift stores. And the reason is that I have a Goodwill Bins location near me, and if you don't know what the Goodwill Bins are, it is an outlet store where they sell clothing by the pound. Everything is just like dumped in a bin and you sift through it and you pay by the pound. And the one near me, it's $1.99 a pound. So most clothing items that I pick out from there end up being just over $1 a piece. Whereas the thrift stores are $6, $7, $8 now. And I don't really have a whole lot of time to go out and source. So when I do, I'm just going to one location, and that is the Goodwill Bins. And trust me when I say it's very satisfying to sell something for $30 that you only paid $1 for. It's even satisfying to sell something for $15 that you only paid $1 for, especially when it flips in under a month. And I've been mostly picking up style-based clothing items instead of buying just based on brand or trying to find bolo brands. If you don't know what style-based sourcing is, it's when you buy something that is based on style and what's trending right now, no matter what the brand is. It doesn't matter what the brand is. And this is not something that I even remotely considered doing when I first started selling clothing. But since I joined Resellers Edge University, I've learned how to pick up items that other resellers miss. It's so satisfying in the bins when everybody else, all the other resellers are just looking for the good brands, and they literally will just like stand to the side and wait for them to bring new bins out because they're looking for good brands. I am sifting through these bins after other resellers have already been through them to find style-based clothing items to sell. And they flip fast. I'm so proud of myself because a lot of the items that I sold in November and December were things that I got at the bins that were style-based pickups that I sold very quickly. They're either like no-name brands or like mall brands or something like that. Definitely not bolos. And I really could not have done it without Resellers Edge University. Seriously. If you live under a rock and you don't know what REU is yet, it's a mentorship program specifically for clothing resellers, and it's run by a few coaches that have years of experience in clothing reselling across multiple platforms. And you don't have to be a newbie reseller to join. They have courses from how to start reselling all the way to how to grow your already successful clothing reselling business into a six-figure business, if that's what your goal is. And everything in between. There's literally something for everybody. And it's not just courses, it's actually a very active community on both their private Facebook page, which is like my favorite place to just hang out, and on their daily live coaching calls. And these coaching calls cover various topics, like for example, style-based sourcing, pricing, listing, things like that. And my favorite thing ever is oftentimes I don't have time to join these live coaching calls, so I'm gonna miss them, but they're all recorded, so you can watch all of them back, and there are so many of them, so because they've been doing it every single day. So when you sign up for REU, you get access to all of this information. It's like an incredible amount of clothing reselling knowledge. As a proud member and a partner of REU, they've actually given me the ability to give you 50% off your first month of REU with the link that is in my description. So when you guys join, I'll probably see you on the Facebook page or in the live calls or something like that. And thank you to those reseller rock stars who already have signed up under my link. I appreciate it. It's awesome. I want to prove to you guys that REU is actually working for me. So I'm gonna start with the items that I picked up at the bins that were just over $1 that I flipped very fast. These are like mall brands, no bolos, nothing substantial, nothing special, but because of my knowledge and everything that I've learned from them, I was able to flip these items fast and for more than I would expect. These first few items were sold on eBay. I found this Crown and Ivy brand ugly Christmas sweater. This was like perfect. And it wasn't even like a substantially ugly Christmas sweater. It's literally just a green knit sweater with a little bit of plaid like poking out of the collar and the sleeves. I was trying to get rid of this before Christmas because I didn't want it to sit around for an entire year. So I did make the listing price pretty low, but it sold for $15 in a couple of weeks. Next up is this Splendid brand. I don't know the brand. I've never heard of this brand before. It's not a substantial brand. Pure cashmere cardigan. This was machine washed, and I did disclose that in my listing. You could just tell it was machine washed. Like cashmere is not supposed to be machine washed. You could tell that it kind of shrunk a little bit. So I did list this also for $15, and it sold within the month. Cashmere sells usually pretty well in the fall and winter. Next up, this is a really good one. This is a Lula Soul dress. It was another brand that I've never heard of before, but when I pulled it out, I was like, even though this is like a very springtime dress, I'm still gonna pull it because it had this gorgeous embroidery all over the front. And I also could picture in my head the exact person who would wear this, and based on my learnings from REU, was able to figure out exactly how to market this and sell it even in winter to somebody. So I found this at the bins, and the funniest thing about this is that it actually used the international shipping program, and it went to Canada. So I was able to sell this very, very spring sleeveless dress to somebody in Canada, okay, for $30. And it sold, I think, within like a week. So incredible find. This next one is a Dockers crew neck. I knew, again, I picked this up and I was like, this is so grandpa core. I loved, it wasn't technically patchwork, but kind of looked like patchwork. Geometric look. That sold for $15. These Banana Republic Marzotto wool pants I found at the bins. I actually had these listed for I think like $40, but this was a period of time where I really wasn't selling much. This was in November when I just really genuinely was not selling much. Someone made me an offer for $14 and I took it because I just kind of told myself like, I'm just going to accept all the offers that I get right now because I just need to make some sales. But those probably could have sold for more. They had a really good sell-through rate on them. Next up is this Old Navy brand tweed boys sport coat. This was for like, I think it was like 3T or 4T, like literally just for little kids. I listed this and I flipped it for, I think it was like a couple of weeks for $14, you guys. This weighed like nothing. It was like a little kid's piece. The rest of these were all sold on Poshmark, which is a platform that I am starting to really, really enjoy selling on. I feel like Poshmark is a lot more style-based than eBay is. So style-based sourcing works really, really well on Poshmark. So if you don't cross-list a Poshmark, I would highly recommend doing so. The first one is this vintage Nike Golf Tiger Woods mock found at the bins. So excited to find this because I knew it was vintage because I could tell based on the logo on the tag. Golf pieces always sell really well for me, and it was a Tiger Woods crossover. Like win. It was also a really good size. This sold for $34 on Poshmark in, I think this was just over a week. Next up is this little boys, again, I think this was like a 3T polo, Ralph Lauren polo. I would not have picked this up if it did not have the little embroidered logos all over it. I thought that was pretty substantial. It only sold for $10, but for a kid's piece, that's such a good deal. Okay, here are the heavily used slippers that I was talking about previously. I did not think that these were going to sell. In fact, I didn't even list them for like an entire month because I was like, there's no way someone is gonna buy these very heavily used slippers. This actually is a substantial brand. The brand is called Bombas, and they make socks and slippers. I don't know if they make anything else, but I was so shocked. These sold within a couple of days for $18, and they were, again, very heavily used, and I'm not even the one who grabbed them. My mom found them and threw them in my bin across the bin store. So anyways, I was glad for that to sell. Next one is this Roundtree and York, which can be a brand to look out for if you've got something substantial. This was a cashmere sweater. Again, cashmere always sells really well in fall and winter. I've learned that now. And this one sold within a couple of weeks for $30. Next up is Anthropologie Pilcrow. And I normally would say that this is a bolo brand, but I've had difficulty selling Pilcrow for very much. But because these were corduroy, and they were kind of bootcut kind of flare, they were definitely in style. They were also a very small size. I think they were like a size 23, like really, really tiny. So I was not actually expecting very much from these, but they sold very quickly, I think within a week for $30. This one is a brand I've never heard of before. It's Toad & Co. And the only reason I picked this up was because the fabric was so soft. It was a little skort. It had a cute little design on it. I was not expecting to sell this in the fall or winter, but I was able to picture in my head exactly the type of person that would wear this and market it specifically to that buyer. And it sold for $18 in, I think, like, just over a week. Next up was this vintage pair of Toughskins overalls. Now, when I found these in the bins, they were in absolute beautiful brand new condition. They're union made, and stuff like that is definitely something you want to look out for. People really love stuff like that. This one sold for $30. I maybe could have gotten more for it on eBay, but someone made me an offer on Poshmark for $30, and I was like, absolutely. I paid over $1 for these. Let's go. And on Poshmark, when someone makes you an offer, they do actually have to buy it, unlike Depop. Next, again, another spring item that I was able to sell in fall and winter. Crown and Ivy, again, mall brand, floral maxi dress. This thing had so many flowers and baubles and things hanging off of it. It was just crazy looking. And this sold for $25 in winter. Like, just, I'm so impressed with that. And that one sold in, I want to say, just over a week. This last one I actually sold on Depop, and I had to add it to this list because I'm just so impressed with it. American Eagle, but these are green corduroy pants. Corduroy is very, very in right now. These sold for $20 in a couple of days. These ones actually sold very fast, and I don't normally sell things fast on Depop, so I was very impressed with that. Depop is kind of weird for me. I don't sell a lot on there. I'm still trying to kind of like figure out how to sell things on there, but that one actually did pretty well, so I'm impressed with that. Okay, next up, I have a small little chunk of items that I sourced from Whatnot. And if you guys are not sourcing your items on Whatnot, you need to give it a try. If you're not familiar with Whatnot, it is a live selling platform, and I actually make most of my money on Whatnot, as I mentioned earlier. And I also source on Whatnot. a lot of people are just cleaning out their closets, or they're done reselling and they're trying to get rid of stuff fast, and they sell things for like $1 or even like $5. And I've sourced so much good stuff on Whatnot, and I'm very proud of it. So I'll start with the thing that was the most expensive. This Nirvana reprint shirt, it was $5. I was actually buying something for myself in a friend of mine's Whatnot show, and I just kept watching her show and nobody swiped on this shirt. So I was like, I'll just grab it. It'll probably resell for quite a lot. It's not vintage or anything, but it's still sold within a week for $30. $30. I was very proud of that one. And then I found these 3 hoodies that somebody was, I think they had like a consignment store or something like that, and they were kind of like done with the business and just kind of selling everything for $1. I was the only person in this person's show, so she was tailoring everything to me. I was like, let me see this and let me see that and whatever. I think I ended up buying like 30 items from her. But these 3 hoodies were $1 each. This first one is a Carhartt hoodie. It was in really good condition. It was pink. It was a double XL, really good size. It had the logo on the sleeve. And this one sold in $30 within a week. I also got this double Nike logo hoodie, and that one sold within a week for $11. I'm pretty sure I sold that one on offer, but these were like, had a good sell-through rate on them, but weren't selling for very much. So $1 to $11, I'll take it. And then this plain old Under Armour logo hoodie, $10 on Poshmark. So really great little deals on things that I just randomly bought from Whatnot. Okay, let's switch it up a little bit and talk about some hard goods that I sold. And some of these are major bolos. So if you sell hard goods, you're gonna wanna pay attention. I bought, I think back in spring, 10 vintage new in box Elmo toys from Facebook Marketplace, a lady on Facebook Marketplace, for $30 total. And I proudly only have 1 left to sell. Here's the 3 that I sold in November and December. The first one, obviously, I knew this one was gonna sell in December. Vintage 12 Days of Christmas Elmo. This one I actually sold on a 20% off sale for $27, 20% off coupon, I should say, for $27. The next one was actually a Cookie Monster. It was the only Cookie Monster that I got. I know it's not Elmo, but it's still in the same realm. This was a vintage 1997 one, and this one I actually put for 50% off. I was trying to get rid of it because I kept having to move these Elmos from house to house, and the boxes were starting to get ruined, and I was like, let's just get rid of them. I'm sick of them sitting on the shelf. There was no good way to store them, so $17.50 for that one. And then this is the one that somebody attempted to return, but I refused it and eBay sided with me. This was a vintage 2001 Elmo. I sold it for $28. The buyer attempted a return, not an item not as described return, but an item arrived damaged return, which actually gives you the same like problem. Like if I would have had to accept this return, I would have had to pay the return shipping. So the reason that they attempted to return it was because it didn't work. However, very clearly in my listing in several places, I said, this is a vintage collectible, new in box, and probably will not work. So because I had that in my listing, eBay sided with me and the person did not return the item, and I got to keep my money. So if they still insisted on a return, I actually messaged them. I said, I will accept the return, but I cannot give you a full refund because you've now taken it out of the box and it is now worth considerably less than it was before. And this is what I explained to eBay when I was trying to go through this situation, and they sided with me because of what it said in the listing. So if a buyer buys something from you that is new in box and they take it out of the box and they say that it doesn't work, it's damaged, whatever, you do not have to give them a full refund. You can give them a partial refund because now they have made the value of the item considerably less. So don't accept returns like that. And eBay will side with you if you state explicitly in your listing that the item is probably not going to work. Okay, next up is a super weird, fun one. My mom actually found this at the Amazon bin store. If you've never been to one of those, definitely check to make sure that you have a liquidation bins store near you because they're awesome for hard goods. This was a doggy wheelchair, basically like the back wheels for dogs that have like disabled rear legs. And this sold within a couple of days for $40. Someone actually offered me $10 for this on the first day that I listed it, but it sells brand new on Amazon for $80. So I was like, I'm actually gonna not accept that offer. And I usually accept every offer that I get, but that one I was like, no. And I'm glad that I declined that offer because someone bought it for $40 the very next day they didn't even offer me anything. $40 is what I had it listed for. So these replacement blades are definitely a bolo for hard goods sellers. The brand is called Back Blade. They're just replacement blades for a back shaver. Mom bought these for $1 at the bins. They sold same day for 20 bucks. I think there was like 10 blades in there. I don't even know how many. It'll show in the picture, 10 or 12, something like that. I also sold 2 things just for like really cheap. Do you guys remember back, I don't even know when I first started reselling, people were like, Starbucks mugs, like always buy Starbucks mugs because they resell for a lot. Well, no, they don't. Or at least this one doesn't. This was a Costa Rica mug and it only sold for $7.50. I've had it for a very long time. I was sick of looking at it. I also sold an espresso tamper for $6.50. Just not, I don't even know. It was just something my mom picked up and thought would sell well. And I was just like, whatever, I'll just sell it. It's not a big deal. This last one legitimately made me boo-hoo cry, like absolute sob tears streaming down my face. This is a panda pillow pet and it was mine that I got when I was a kid. I wanted it so freaking bad. And I kept it for this long. I gave it to my daughter and she kept it for a couple of years. And we went through her room and we were like getting rid of stuff and she said she didn't want it anymore. And I was like, you know what? I don't have anywhere to keep this or put it for safekeeping and I just really don't need it. It's like it does have a little bit of sentimental value, but I've got plenty of things from my childhood that also have sentimental value. So I sold this one for $16 with a 20% off coupon and I wept. So, all right, enough of the sob story. Back to clothes and some of the most interesting experiences I've had in reselling. I mentioned that I had 2 buyers buy more than 1 item from me on eBay for the first time. And that will happen when you're selling several of the same item in a different color. So it's really not that surprising, but it was exciting to get like 2 sales right away. So the first one was these Free People lace bralettes. I found these at the bins. They're super lightweight. So like realistically, if you were going by weight, these probably cost a couple cents. I almost never find Free People at the bins either. I don't know if people just like don't wear Free People in North Carolina. I just don't know. I never find Free People at the bins, but these were $9 each and they sold pretty quickly within the same month. I didn't have to end and relist them. So, and then the other one, and this is really interesting. These are Lululemon Align tank tops. And they sold within, I don't even know, like 3 days or something like that. 2 of them sold together for $45 total. And these I did not find at the bins. I actually sourced these on Whatnot. I was trying to support a new seller. She sold me 3 bras for $30 total. The third one sold on Depop for $22. So I did end up profiting off of all of them together. And the funny thing about this one is that I sold it in the beginning of December and it still has not been delivered. It went to the international shipping program, so it's in Illinois somewhere, and it still has not been delivered. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that. When you sell something using the international shipping program, eBay literally just takes care of all of it. So like worst case scenario, if they can't find the package, like it's their own problem. Like I'm not gonna lose my money for that. So anyways, next up, I sold so many pairs of freaking jeans. Like it's jean season and I have a lot of pairs of jeans in my inventory. It is one of my favorite things to source because it's so easy to source. It's so easy to take pictures of. It's easy to ship. Everything about jeans is just easy. Like I love jeans. Most of these are bolos. So if you are someone that likes to pick up jeans, pay attention. Also, I purchased all of these at thrift stores, so they cost me like $6 to $7 each. The first one is this pair of Citizens of Humanity. They're cigarette style jeans. These sold for $34. I've had them since about spring, so I'm really happy that they sold and that they sold for that much. Citizens of Humanity is definitely a bolo brand. Again, with all jeans though, make sure that you're buying jeans that are currently in style. Like right now, skinny jeans are not in style. So like, don't buy skinny jeans. What is in style right now is like Y2K, like boot cut. I don't know, it just kind of depends. You gotta pay attention to that kind of thing. The next brand is Imogene and Willie, definitely a bolo brand. These ones had a paint stain on them, like a very, very small paint stain on them. And I think these were actually skinny jeans, but the brand is so substantial, I figured that these would probably sell well anyways. They sold for $21. These next ones are Abercrombie & Fitch Curve Love, and this is a bolo. So Abercrombie & Fitch is a mall brand, but the Curve Love jeans are a bolo. They're actually the only jeans that I wear. They're the only jeans that fit my body. These were 90s relaxed fit. I actually bought these for myself, I think on Poshmark for 30 something dollars. I ended up selling them for $25, but these have a really high sell-through rate. Not just the 90s relaxed fit, but just Abercrombie Curve Love jeans, period. Like those are going to sell really well. The next one, this is an interesting one. So these are Levi's, but it's Levi's made and crafted jeans. They're still Levi's brand, but they're like a different like sector of the brand. And I'm not really sure what they are. I had to do a little bit of research on these before I listed them, but these actually sold for $25. So, and then lastly for bolo brands would be these BKE buckle Derrick jeans. I don't know what the style Derrick actually means, but BKE buckle is definitely a brand that you want to look out for. These ones sold for $29. The rest of these jeans were put on either 20 or 50% off sale because I was sick of looking at them. A pair of J. Crew vintage slim jeans for $28. Those still sold for quite a lot, but I don't think that they were a bolo. J brand jeans I've had forever that were sold for $21. These Pilcrow, again, Pilcrow, Anthropologie brand. These are button hem jeans. I had these listed for $40. I don't know why. I don't know if I saw another pair listed for $40. But I sold these for 50% off for $20. I had a lot of interest in them, but no buyers. So I figured that's probably the price. And then lastly, these Gap 1969 jeans. I've had these for 6 months, and similar to the last pair, they had a lot of interest, but no buyers. So I went from $32 to $16 on these ones. All right, this next section of items are items that I put on my 50% off sale items that might surprise you that they didn't sell for more. So firstly is this Twillery brand shirt. The sell-through rate on these was so good when I bought them. I had 3 of them. They did have a heavy cologne smell on them, and they were dry clean only. So I did disclose that in the listing, and I did discount them quite a bit to $20 each. When they could have probably sold for $40. So I thought for sure those were gonna sell really well, but they didn't. So they ended up selling for, or this particular shirt ended up selling for $10 with 50% off. Next was this Ariat Pro Series plaid button down. I thought that this one was gonna sell for more, but it didn't. Like Ariat is a really good brand. It was a Pro Series, like one of their nicer models, like plaid button down. Like I feel like it had so many factors that would have made it sell for more. I'm not sure what I did wrong with this listing, but it ended up selling for $15. Next up, Patagonia, a brand that we know well, a bolo brand, Patagonia. This was just a basic logo shirt that I got in a Facebook Marketplace bulk buy. It was only like 43 cents or something like that. I wasn't sure about pricing on this one because I could not find anything similar for it. I think I had it listed for $30 and it wasn't moving, so I put it on 50% off and it sold for $15. Next up is always a bolo brand, Dansko. I've sold a lot of these Dansko clogs. These ones did not have any insoles in them, so they only sold for $10. I thought they would sell for more despite them not having insoles, because I know a lot of people will actually just buy their own insoles for their own shoes, so, but it makes sense. Next was these Sorel. Sorel is a bolo brand. These are called the Joan of Arctic boots, and I paid up for these because I thought these were going to sell for like $80. I paid $10 for them at a garage sale in the spring. I probably could have gotten more for these. I'm not really sure why I didn't wait longer through winter before putting these on sale. I think I was just frustrated that they weren't selling as quickly as I wanted them to, and they also take up a lot of space on my shelf. They're huge. So I sold them for $20. Next is this Southern Tide quarter zip sweater, not actually a substantial brand. I put this in here to tell you guys that I am never gonna pick up Southern Tide again. I thought Southern Tide was a good brand. I cannot move Southern Tide to save my life. $10 on that one. And then this last one is like a stunner to me. A Robert Graham embroidered flip cuff button-up shirt, okay? I literally just saw a reel on Instagram from another clothing reseller that was like this exact shirt, like literally this exact shirt. He found like 3 of them at Goodwill or something like that and was like, these are all gonna sell for $60 each. No, they won't. I've had this shirt for a very, very, very long time, and it only sold for $16.50, and it had no interest on it. So again, maybe there was something wrong with my listing. Like, I don't really know, but also if you guys remember my last What Sold video, I sold a Robert Graham new with tags Robert Graham shirt that was originally, I think, close to $200. Like it was $198 or something like that. And that one also only sold for like, I don't even remember, 30 something. I don't know. It just wasn't as much as I thought it was going to sell for. So I don't know if Robert Graham is going downhill or what, but I had to share that with you guys. So next category is shoes. I sold 3 pairs of shoes in November and December, 2 of which were ones that I got from the Vista auctions. If you're new to my channel and you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a place here called Vista Auctions. You basically bid for items online and then you go and pick it up. And it's 45 minutes for me, so it costs me a lot to drive there. And I bought a lot of stuff from there when I first started reselling. And all of it, well, a lot of it has taken a very long time to sell. One of which were these new in box Florsheim boots. Florsheim is a really good brand. I would call this a bolo brand for sure if you see them in the wild. They were a size 14, and I didn't think at all about that when I bought these. I was just like, oh, new in box, Florsheim, great brand. Size 14, not a lot of human beings have a size 14 foot, okay? So these took a long time to sell. I sold them for $45, but I also paid like 30 something for these. So I only profited a couple bucks off of these. And then next up were these, the brand is called Pro Pet. Not a substantial brand at all. Danny ankle boots, new in box, also from Vista auction. I sold them for $15. I think I paid like half that for them, so I really did not make a lot of money on those either. And then on Poshmark, I sold these Sorel brand Emily Conquest boots. I've had these for a really long time. I distinctly remember picking these up at Goodwill because somebody actually handed them to me at the store. They were like, these would look really cute on you, and just like gave them to me. And I was like, okay. And I noticed that they were Sorel, and that's definitely a bolo brand. And so I thought that these would sell really well. So I've had them for over a year, and they sold for $28. But dang, they took so long to sell. I'm so surprised. I still made quite a bit of profit on them. All right, and then my last little category of what sold, these are random bolos that just don't fit into any of the categories that I just mentioned. So, but these were also some of my best flips of November and December. So the first one here was this new with tags Frank and Eileen shirt. Frank and Eileen is a bolo brand. Why? I have no idea. This shirt looked like an Amazon fashion something. Like, it just didn't look good to me. It's not something that I would expect to cost this much. I was really surprised, but you know what? I'm not gonna yuck somebody's yum. It was new with tags. It's a bolo brand. I'm gonna try to sell it. And I listed this and sold it within 2 days for $56. Now, it would have sold for more maybe. I had a 20% off coupon on this one, and this is something I wanna talk about really quick. I did not put this 20% off coupon on this item. eBay, for some reason, automatically applied this 20% off coupon when I listed this item, and I did not know that. So several items that I sold actually on the 20% off coupon were not items that I chose to be valid for the 20% off coupon. So be very, very careful when you are doing coupons. I don't know what kind of setting I had on it that messed it up. Just pay very close attention because eBay might just decide, hey, you're gonna put that on 20% off. So give your items a chance to sell before you put them on a coupon, and pay close attention. On Poshmark, I sold this retired Silpata 925 sterling silver bracelet. My mom found this at a Carolina Value thrift. It was bundled with 2 beaded kids bracelets, like little rainbowy like beaded kids bracelets for $3. And it sold within a few weeks for $119. So this bracelet was technically like $1 for $119 I sold it for. So I wanted to definitely talk about this one because it was my best flip for sure of November and December, but also to just tell you guys, check the jewelry section of your thrift stores. Sometimes they will have sterling silver, sometimes they will have substantial brands like Silpata. And if that is a category of reselling stuff that you're interested in, like, you can really make a lot of money reselling jewelry. So just wanted to mention that. Next up, this is another one that was accidentally put on 20% off, but this is a Jason Wu cable knit sweater. This is a brand that I would say is a bolo. I was not aware of it. This one I actually did buy at a thrift store when I was with a friend of mine who wanted to go thrifting. That's the only time I go to thrift stores now. And it sold within a week for $31. Next on Poshmark, I got this new with tags Athleta Altitude Edge jacket for $15 at a discount clothing store that's local to me. And it sold for $65. So I paid up for it and I still made a really good profit on it. And lastly, on Poshmark, I sold 2 Wrangler Pearl Snap embroidered shirts. These were women's shirts. My first time finding, actually my mom found these, finding women's Wrangler Pearl Snap shirts. And the reason I wanted to bring this one up for certain, well, first of all, they were great flips. The red and yellow one sold for $34 and the other one sold for $29. They were very unique designs, heavily embroidered, really cool. The brown one was embroidered all over, and then the yellow and red one had just really cool detailed embroidery on it. And I've actually had trouble selling Wrangler Pearl Snaps that are not embroidered and substantial and unique. So I don't think all Wrangler Pearl Snaps are pickups. I think probably just similar to Tommy Bahama, only the ones that are like really unique and substantial. Okay, so I mentioned in the intro that I canceled a customer's order for the first time ever, and I want to do a little story time about that. And no, it's not because I lost the item. It's literally because the customer was being a jerk. First of all, this is the coolest vintage windbreaker ever. It's vintage Wise Guy. I think it's from the 90s. It was amazing. So cool to the point where my husband actually almost kept it and then decided he didn't need it. Anyways, it was the day before Thanksgiving and I sold this to a buyer, and almost immediately after making the sale, I get this message that said, "Hope you are a decent seller who actually ships," in all caps. "Thank you, Minda." Being the customer service queen that I am, I responded very professionally, "Thanks for reaching out. Your item will be shipped Friday since tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Happy holidays." Smiles. I thought that I had definitely de-escalated the customer when I got a much kinder message back that said, "Hey there, very good. I completely understand. Thank you, Minda." Okay, situation good, handled. That was until about noon on Friday after Thanksgiving, after I had just placed multiple orders on the porch for USPS to come pick up, and my postal lady always comes before 3 p.m. I got this message: "It is now Friday. Can you please ship," in all caps, "my order, and can you give me a tracking number? Thank you, Minda." What I wanted to say was, listen, Minda, first of all, I know it's freaking Friday. Secondly, you already have your freaking tracking number. And thirdly, your persistent nagging at me to ship your order isn't freaking appreciated. But instead, I said this, which I'll sum up for you. Basically says your order is awaiting pickup, and they also might not scan it right at 3 p.m. because I send out several packages at a time and they often don't have time to scan that many packages at once, blah, 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 whatever. And I don't have screenshots of this because I was just like done with the customer at this point, but she responded something about the tracking number again. And that's when I made the decision to cancel the order and block the buyer. And I did this for 2 reasons. One is because I feel like this person genuinely needed to be taught a lesson on how to treat people that you're buying items from. I've been in customer service pretty much my entire life, and I have found a lot of petty ways to teach customers how to treat me. And this was one of them. So I was hoping to shed some light on their shitty perspective on how to treat people. And secondly, because I learned early on in my reselling journey that if somebody is a problem before a sale or before an item is delivered, they're going to be a problem after the item is delivered. So that's really the most important reason why I canceled the item and blocked the buyer, because I don't want to deal with a return or an item not as described or something like that. So I would much rather keep my item and give them their money back than deal with that. So that's what I did. And that was all for my marketplace sales. I obviously sold around $2,800 on Whatnot in November and December, but due to the nature of live selling, I can't show you guys what I sold, but I can tell you that it was hundreds of rings and some clothing items. I still find my clothing shows to be significantly less profitable and just less everything than my jewelry shows, but I'm feeling pretty ambitious about my clothing shows. Like, I'm not giving up. I'm going to make my clothing shows profitable at some point this year. Like, I'm still working on it. I just put significantly less time into it than I do my ring shows, because my ring shows are what is making me money and I need money. So if you want to see what I sell on Whatnot, feel free to join one of my live shows. There is a link tree in my description where there are 3 links in there that pertain to Whatnot. One of them is just a link to my Whatnot profile. So if you already have a Whatnot account, you can go to that one and just follow me on there and bookmark my shows. I'm scheduled out all the way to like mid-March. The next link is if you don't have a Whatnot account and you want to sign up, it gives you $15 free to spend anywhere on the Whatnot app. And then the third one is a link for sellers. If you are interested in selling on Whatnot, if you sign up under that link, it'll give you a $150 match in your first week of selling on Whatnot. Do not sign up until you are ready to do your show within the week, because if a week passes and you don't do your show, you won't get those $150. I missed out on that. So, and that gives me a commission as well. This is not sponsored by Whatnot at all. Every seller gets that third link. So if you become a seller, you can send your referral link to other people and you can also get commission and they can get $150. So, and a few of you have already signed up using my link for that and made sales, and I got the commission from it. So thank you so much, because it's helping me pay the bills. You'll also see in my link tree the link to my Instagram account. Please go follow me on there. I just started the account recently and I don't have very many followers on there, but that is where all the juicy stuff is. That is where like some of my personal life stuff is. I post really cool like sales that I made on there, or just items that I'm selling, things like that, Whatnot previews, whatever. And there's also other links in the link tree as well. And as a friendly reminder, the link to get 50% off your first month of RU Pro is in the very top of my description underneath this video. And I hope this video helped to prove to y'all that it's totally worth it. Like, I am a very, very small reseller and I make enough on my eBay and Poshmark and Depop to pay for 10 subscriptions every month. And I feel like most resellers probably sell more than I do on those platforms. So like, I don't know, it's totally worth it. So that is all I have for today's What Sold video. I will see you guys in the next one in a couple of weeks. Bye.